So here's what the males do, because there's the blue one, the red one, then there'll be a black one and a white one we're about to get. The vests, they reflect elemental damage. All the vests, the males. Or not reflect it, but absorb it, I guess. So if somebody's wearing, like, the red mail, and they get hit by a fire spell, instead of being hurt, they will actually heal for the amount of damage that it would have hurt them. And the vests do the same, but they only heal 50%. So, like, if somebody gets hit with a fire spell that would have done 100 damage, it will heal them for 50 instead.
Makes sense.
But the males would do it 100 for 100. And the only way they become the males is if you go into the past, have the pendant react to them, and then come to the present and get them. But the thing is, because time travel, you could also go into the past again and then get the vests, which is some sort of weird time paradox, but, you know, we don't care. And this is actually kind of a good time to bring up the time travel theory behind Chrono Trigger.
Uh-oh. Here comes, folks.
Because if you've ever read on the Chrono Compendium, they've got a million...
and we all know you have.
We all know you have. They've got a million articles on how dissecting, like, how time travel works in Chrono Trigger. And they came up with a theory that I quite like. It's got two principles to it. And in every instance, except for the very beginning of the game with Marl disappearing, time travel follows these two principles very consistently with pretty much every instance of time travel in the game.
Right.
And the two rules are this. First, there's what's called time traveler's immunity, which states this, that anything, not just person, but thing that travels through time is therefore immune to changes in the timeline. Like, if something changes in their own personal past, they're still the same person. So, like, for example...
kill your own grandfather.
Yeah, if Chrono went and killed his own grandfather, he wouldn't suddenly cease to exist. He'd still be Chrono, and still have the same memories. Or if even just like in the world, if the world suddenly changed so that, Hitler won, or Magus won, the war... Chrono would still remember the original timeline.
And be driven insane by it.
Right. No. So, and that explains why, for example, you can take... Here's a spoiler. Isla is a very, very distant ancestor of Marl and the Guardia Kingdom line. You don't find that out till the end, but it's not really that big of a spoiler. It's just some random trivia. But, since you take her out of the timeline... You would think that that means that, oh, now the Guardia Kingdom has ceased to exist. Because she wasn't there in the past to make it happen. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Oh.
So it's like if she suddenly disappeared for 65 million years and then nobody was the ancestor. And of course you can argue that that actually is okay because since it was 65 million years ago, I mean, you know, it's other bloodlines would fill in. And kind of cover the gaps. Chaos theory and all that crap.
Butterfly effect.
But here's the second part of the theory. It's called, and excuse the language, time bastard.
Excuse me?
And it's not saying that everyone that time travels is a big jerk.
Except for maybe us.
Oh, that would be kind of funny if that was the theory. No, what it means is that from the instant you first time travel, if you do change the past or whatever, at the exact instant that you time traveled, whatever copy of yourself that would have existed disappears at the moment that you first time traveled. And that's confusing, but let me explain what I mean by that. Oh, I forgot to get the one that was... Oh, no, I can't get that one yet. Okay. So, for example, let's say that Chrono traveled in time. At like, the beginning of the game, at the telepod and everything. So he somehow changed history so that Luca didn't build the telepods. Okay, so then he would have no reason to time travel in the first place, right? And so that would be some sort of weird paradox. So in order to fix that paradox, what actually happens is that at the instant that Chrono would have time traveled, so like, you know, January 1st, 1000 AD or whatever the time is. I'm now going, by the way, just to explain what I'm doing now, I'm going into the future and getting some more boxes. So, nothing really plot related is going to happen yet. I'm still just getting stuff. Anyway, what was I saying? So at the you know, January 1st, 1000 AD or whatever it is, the Chrono that isn't going to be time traveling because the teleporter wouldn't exist, simply disappears. Gets like swept, like just blinks out of existence. So that there's not like an extra Chrono somewhere. That's the time bastard theory.
Fair enough.
So, for example, that's how we can get these... Oh, we gotta fight these guys again. Should have gone the other way. That's how we can get the mails and the vests at the same time, is because of the time bastard and time traveler's immunity theory. Because, to explain what that is, I mean, ooh, we just learned a dual tech. To explain how that works, I should have gone the other way. I'm going to go the other way. I guess it doesn't matter, unless I have to fight the crawly guy again, which I don't think I do. Ah, I can't get it back across there, though. Where's the switch for that? I think there's a switch I missed somewhere. Anyway, so we go into 600 AD, we click on the red vest, powers up, becomes the red mail, right?
Right.
Which is great. But if we and then we go into the present, get the red mail. We go into the past, we can get the red vest again. But if you get the red vest first, then the red mail does not exist in the future.
Right.
So, with this theory, you can get the red mail and then the red vest, because the red vest is the same as the red mail, but it's 400 years. Sorry, I'm trying to think of it as I'm running. So it's like thinking of where I'm going and this complicated time travel theory.
You're refreshed. Still hungry.
That's why I'm pausing a lot. Because it's actually the same object, but at two different points in time. Mm-hmm. So presumably, if I hang on to the red vest for 400 years until it gets to the time where it would be the red mail, it would disappear entirely. Because then Time Bastard would come into effect and make the red vest disappear. So we've got the red vest and the red mail on together at the same point in time, but on their own personal timelines, they're still 400 years apart. Does that make sense? Kind of.
I think so.
So that's there's a lot more, you know, it's probably a lot better explained at the Chrono Compendium than I just did. Because I was kind of stuttering while I'm trying to fight bugs. But that's so in every instance in Chrono Trigger, including there's a big important event that's going to happen not too far in the future in the Kingdom of Zeal. And everything that happens with that is kind of confusing if you think about it too much, but it all... Oh, I need to open that door. It all fits in with those two theories. The only thing that it doesn't fit into those theories is the disappearance of Marl at the beginning of the game. And you know what the Chrono Compendium's explanation for that is?
I don't.
Riders. Because the first part of the game was written by a different guy who didn't know those theories. So it wasn't the same.
Makes sense.
So we just got a gold earring, which... So these new accessories we just got. We got a hit ring, which makes your hit rate go up, so you don't miss as much. Not that they really have problems missing. And your gold earring makes your max HP go up by 50%, which is ridiculously large.
Also, it makes you a thug in the hood.
I actually want to put this rage band on Isla, I think. So I'm going to give him the hit ring for the moment. Because her counterattacks are usually the strongest. So I've got all these males now. And the Lumen Robe.
No.
No, Isla's. So there's your Science of Chrono Trigger lesson. I expect a full essay on the time bastard theory.
No, I was supposed to be paying attention.
Can you remember anything I said about these theories? Or
Yes, I do.
were you just dry?
The first one I'm more familiar with.
The immunity one?
Yeah. Because if you read the Asimov book, The End of Eternity, they have a scientific explanation for it, which is essentially in the book, sometime in the far distant past, if you can call it past, someone created a time travel machine, but then someone later created a time stasis field that surrounds you.
Isn't that how
As
Red
time.
Dwarf starts?
Probably. You're more familiar with what Red
Okay.
and I recently read this book.
Well, anyway,
So-
explain it and I'll see if it fits in.
Well, it's simple. It's just a time stasis field. So it's a scientific explanation for why you have the time travel immunity. It's an actual device that keeps you out of the timeline. So you can travel anywhere. You still age normally, like a normal person would, but you don't. It doesn't matter which time period you go to.
Right. By the way, the seed sprouted. Thanks, Doan.
However, it's not entirely the same, because in this book they take people out of the timeline to go into what's called eternity. It's a place that is separate from time.
Mm-hmm.
So that, because what you do in eternity is you watch all the timelines and you make sure they all have the best outcome with you make small little changes here and there. You're trying to get the smallest change to make the best outcome.
Okay.
And so to get the people who live in eternity, who are called Eternals, essentially work in eternity. That's their job.
Okay.
To get those people, you find people in the timeline who would not only be the best for the job, but would have the least effect on any of those timelines if they were taken out of it.
Right, so like Nobby Nobody from 2000 AD is actually going to be important because they're in Eternal, but they wouldn't have had no effect on 2000 AD. That kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So essentially they're just like scientists and stuff
That were just boring and never had children because they were scientists.
Right. Don't get married. Usually it's almost the rule that you're not married and you don't have kids.
So basically us.
Right, yeah, so we'll be Eternals eventually.
Well, sounds great. Come on, Asimov, take me away.
Yes, he didn't actually die back in 1991 or whenever.
He just became an Eternal.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy just stole money. These guys are a lot easier to kill now that I have their AoE spells, though. That aren't.
So it's a fascinating book about time travel. So I thought you would like it because it goes into a lot of the theories.
Right. Well, that's what, as like Foundations, also goes to a lot of like sociological theories about prophecy and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I hope that your doctorate in Chrono Trigger is now complete.
The masterpieces.
Ah! These rats keep stealing my money. Rats!
Cool.
Ah. We're almost done with collecting boxes here, so if you...
So you would think, Chad, but really, we've got 70 more minutes of collecting boxes.
No, it's been interesting. There's, a lot more lure articles are on, Chrono Cross stuff, because Chrono Trigger, despite being, potentially a convoluted story, is actually fairly straightforward. But if you've ever played Chrono Cross, there's a lot of it that just doesn't make sense.
Lavos is fighting himself.
That's what you think. I don't think that that's really the case, but that's Doodler's theory.
We may or may not play it at some point in the future where we're going to figure out why I had this theory back in high school where Lavos was fighting himself.
These guys don't say anything new, so you forgive if I don't talk to any of them. But in here we
I
find
think I would forgive.
a magic tab and gold stud.
Box of wine.
And a full item box of wine.
Yep.
No, the gold stud. Stop.
Who, me?
No, this is the menus. I kept selecting people I didn't like. Gold stud will give to Marl. It'll cut her MP use by 75. Which I seem to always run out of MP with her for some reason, so I'm doing that. Probably because she heals a lot of people. Or actually, Marl will be very useful once she gets her next spell. Which is one of the best spells in the game.
Antipody?
It's not Antipody, it's Haste. Because you cast Haste on everybody, and then you pretty much can pwn everybody. That was weird.
I actually called the spell Antipode, but I said Antipody because I was like, maybe Jeff says it that way. It's like a think ahead to how he would pronounce it.
Yeah. So the wallet is an interesting item. It turns your experience into gold.
Delicious.
Which seems like kind of a dumb item. But there is a run of Chrono Trigger where I'm going to put the power scarf back on him.
Try to get $300,000 to buy a villa in Costa del Sol.
That's right. No, that's not it at all.
It's actually fine.
That's actually fine. I'm only traveling through here so that I can get the pillars. Hold on, the old man's trying to talk to us. I'll tell you about what the wallet does in a second. The old man's saying crap.
An old man is saying things.
Hey everyone, an old man is speaking. Oh.
Shut up.
So he actually finished the Wings of Time. In fact, gave his life for it. Ha ha, what a sucker.
Let's all celebrate by having a cool glass of turnip juice.
Why not put that device to good use? Take it to the ancient land of magic. Yeah, I'll do it later. Still getting boxes. Actually, I think we've got all the boxes. The problem is that we left the time machine in 2300 AD, so now we've got to go.
Somebody give us a hitch back to this time zone. We left our time machine.
Yeah.
Toddus.
What's the one I want? No, not Banger Dome. Our last box that we're getting. Second to last box, actually.
This better be an interesting box.
The most interesting of boxes.
Because the rest of them don't.
First there's this one. For some reason, the gate on this screen is like got slightly different graphics.
Really?
It's not so gradiented. The power ring. Maybe that's what I'll give Chrono instead of the power scarf. Everybody knows rings are better than scarves.
What?
You heard me. Moohee woo ha ha ha.
That's funny because I told them this story to my nephews.
Where is
it was like an Alice in Wonderland type story that I just made up on the spot.
Uh-huh.
And they end up going and finding the Duchess in like the land of whatever. And she gives them a ring and a scarf.
Oh, well there you go.
And my sister's like, why did you give them girls' gifts? I'm like, she was expecting girls.
Oh.
It's the Duchess.
Now everyone's got better armor. I also got a charm top. I didn't put that on.
Ooh,
I don't think.
Charming.
Why can nobody? Or was that? Oh, I think it's an accessory actually. Yeah, it is. Charm top. Your charm powers up, which is a tech that we haven't unlocked yet. So.
Essentially flirt with people so they give you money and items.
That's right. It's the flirting tech. Mara's already got one of those where she kind of slaps her butt. It's kind of a weird
I thought
thing.
that was it.
No. Charm is when Isla tries to kiss them.
That's what it is. Okay, I was thinking of Marl's tech.
Anyway, they have a dual tech that's also a charm.
They try to duel it out by seeing who could be the most skanky.
That's right. Now we're going to Bangor Dome again so we can go get our time machine back, because I just left it in the garage, in Balthazar's garage.
It's funny that, okay, so we did that little time jump there, you know, it has the wind blowing and those weird swirly lines and everything.
Right.
Well, I didn't know at the time, but going back and looking at it, I think they got the idea from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh.
I said Space Odyssey. Odyssey.
That's not a bad theory, yeah. That could be.